What's up, YouTube? Got a little discussion to do today. Today I wanted to talk about the 5 things that I think make yo-yo contests better. Yo-yo contests are a really important part of the community. They're really important all around because it showcases the best players, and we get to see the best tricks, and we get to see what is the newest and most advanced tricks and elements that the best yo-yo players in the world have come up with. Not that necessarily that you or I or any of us who are of average or below average, in my case, skill level can do, but you know, we get to see that. And additionally, we all get to kind of come together. We're a really cool, really fun community, and it's always really fun to hang out. And a contest is a really good atmosphere and reason for everybody to get together and hang out. So these are the 5 things that I think make yo-yo contests better, and these are the things that we tried to make happen at the East Coast Masters here in Pittsburgh this year. Now, I know a lot of contests do these things, but these are the 5 things that I really think make a contest stand out as a much better contest. So the first thing is cash prizes. We did cash prizes. That was sort of the big thing that we really wanted to do at East Coast Masters, was cash prizes. We felt that because we weren't offering any national seed or anything like that, that we would really get the best players to come out if we offered the money. So that was it. It was like, okay, yes, the registration is going to cost a little bit more, but at the same time, you might go home with a few $100s. So, you know, there was that. And, you know, worst case scenario, even, you know, if you got 3rd place, not worst case, but, you know, even if you got 3rd place, you still got all of your entrance money back, and then, you know, a little bit extra. So, you know, plus some yo-yos and some other cool stuff. So, you know, it was a solid victory all around. It wasn't you were paying me so that I could give you a trophy if maybe you won. Like, it was, you know, if you won some money, you won some yo-yos, and you left happy with that. So I feel like cash prizes do that, and they really, like I said, give incentive to bring the best players out, and, you know, just to bring the best talent, and just incentive to come out in general. Like, a lot of times it's hard for players to just say, well, I don't know if I want to drive the 6 hours or 8 hours or take a flight out to this contest, because, yeah, if I win, that's great. Maybe I'll get a couple yo-yos, but at the same time, you know, I could probably have just bought those yo-yos for way less than it would have taken me to just fly out there, and I don't really need, even if I win this contest, I've already got a national seat or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. And I feel like that really kind of brings the competition level down of contests, especially after somebody gets a seed. So, like, let's say, hypothetically, Andrew Bergen has a seed to nationals already, or to nationals. Let's say he's already got a seed to nationals, or worlds or something already. So he doesn't have to go to nationals because he's already got that world seed. But are we really watching the best players in the world or in the nation if, you know, the guys who are already seeded for nationals don't compete because they've already got a seed and they don't have to? I think that we don't. So I think there needs to be some other incentive for them to go out there and compete, and I think cash prizes really are that way. So I'd like to see us start to move back to that. And there's certainly ways that we can do it. We were able to do it here in Pittsburgh. I think there's certainly ways to be able to do it. Just, you know, need some planning. To contact me. I've got ideas. But anyway, so that's the first thing. Number 2, I think at contests, and we do a pretty decent job at a lot of contests with this, is there also needs to be a focus on the collectors as well. So I talk about this all the time. There's 2 types of yo-yo people. There are the players and there are the collectors. And both of them are very important to the community because the collectors buy all the yo-yos, and they are sort of the influx of money, and the players are sort of the influx of new yo-yo tricks and exciting things like that, and they are sort of the drivers of the yo-yo design. So those 2 aspects work together very well. What kind of hurts a yo-yo contest is if you go there and there's maybe only one or two vendors, and that's kind of, it's tough, because, you know, somebody like me who isn't going to compete, but I want to go out, I want to watch people compete, I want to hang out with my friends, but I generally also want to buy yo-yos as well. That's part of why I want to go to yo-yo contests. Hell, I helped schedule a yo-yo contest in Pittsburgh just so I could go hang out and buy yo-yos. Now I had to run around and do a ton of other things, but, you know, I bought a bunch of yo-yos too, and that's kind of what I wanted to contest. So I think there needs to be both focuses, and there's a lot of contests that actually do a really great job at this, but I think it needs to be more of a front of the mind kind of a focus instead of a just like, oh, this actually ended up being this way too, in addition to being a great contest. I think a good ways to do that is to kind of bring in those boutique yo-yo brands. Maybe just try to have more vendors to bring the table cost down so that those boutique brands can come in as well, and just kind of have a nice array of, you know, your standard core stuff, Duncan's, Yo-Yo Factories, things like that. But also, you know, whatever your local boutique stuff is. And we have a really cool, especially in America, it's really cool that like each sort of geographic location has several guys who have their own little established boutique yo-yo companies, and it's a really fun thing when those guys all come together, because nobody's competing with one another, because it's like we're not competing. They don't have the same yo-yos. It's not like, well, this table's got a shutter and this table's got a shutter, but this one's got it in this splash. It's like, no, this guy's got his boutique yo-yos and this guy has his boutique yo-yos, and you want to try them both. And some guys are going to really like the one and buy that one. Some guys are going to really like the other and they're going to buy that one, and that's good for everybody. So I really think a focus on the collectors as well as sort of the unique, you know, local-ish yo-yo boutique scene is a really smart thing to sort of at least, you know, concentrate on or think about whenever a contest is being planned, because it really will kind of bring out those extra guys, bring that extra little bit of money in from those collectors, which you need money to run a contest. You just do. It costs money. I'm telling you guys, it's not a sellout thing. It costs money to run a contest. Period. So that was number 2. Number 3 is accessible, cheap locations. Contests need to be in accessible, cheap locations. We felt that Pittsburgh was great for that because Pittsburgh's very accessible. Lots of major highways run through Pittsburgh. We have an international airport, and it's just not hard to get here. And once you get here, it's pretty cheap to stay. It's not hard to drive around in Pittsburgh. It's not expensive to park in Pittsburgh. It's just easy to be around in Pittsburgh. And I'm not saying Pittsburgh's the only city that we should have every yo-yo contest in, although I would love that because then I wouldn't have to leave. But that's more selfish me. But cities like Pittsburgh are great for yo-yo contests because we don't all have, you know, $600 every other weekend to spend going to a contest in an expensive city. So to drive out, for me, like, for example, so I'm going to go to Nationals this year. It's in Chicago. Chicago is not a cheap city. I'm not there yet, but just to get there and to stay there and sleep there cost me $400, and I booked it months and months in advance, and I'm probably going to go and book everything for pretty much cheaper than everybody else. And that's really just flight and hotel for me. $400 for 2 nights in the hotel and the flight out and all that stuff, which is great. It's a great price. But if you were looking to book now, you're probably looking at more like $600. And that's really that's a lot of money. So I understand that Nationals is sort of a big deal. So to have it somewhere that's sort of a centralized hub like Chicago is a great idea. And I'm not trying to knock the Chicago Nationals by any stretch of anybody's imagination. I think it's a great place to have it. It's very central to the whole country, at least, you know, to the northern part of the country. So it's really kind of as convenient as it gets for a lot of us because there's 2 major airports, and if we booked flights early enough, it was easy enough. And there's a lot of guys in the Midwest that can drive out or take the train or whatever, drive and take a train. So it's not going to be terribly expensive, but there are cities that are more affordable to do this. In 2019, Cleveland is going to be hosting the World Yo-Yo Contest again. I feel like Cleveland, very much like Pittsburgh, is sort of that level of city where it's like just accessible enough because there's like an airport and there's a lot of major highways running into it and running through it, and a lot of good stuff to do in the city, a lot of food, things like that. But at the same time, it's a pretty inexpensive city, sort of on the same level of Pittsburgh, where you're going to be able to stay in a hotel relatively cheap, get an Airbnb, something like that. Won't be difficult, won't be expensive, and it'll be a good weekend, and it won't cost you an arm and a leg to go to Cleveland. It's not like going to Disney World or something. It's just, you're just going to Cleveland to hang out, and it's not that terribly expensive to do that if that's something you want to do. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But in addition to that, location's very important, but so is planning. I feel like you really need to know to kind of get the best turnout 2-3 months in advance, at least. Before the contest starts, because you want people to be able to book flights, and you want to be able to book flights early so they can fly out. Because if you book a flight early enough, you can fly out and fly back for like $120, $130 if you book early enough in advance. And so a lot of guys can come from just about anywhere for $100 or so, so under $200 to come to the Yoyo contest and hang out. Now, everybody's not going to be able to buy a plane ticket and fly out. But if you've got that advance notice, it's going to be much more affordable than if you don't. It also kind of gets people used to planning early for this kind of stuff. So Kai and I talk about this a lot, but the Yo-Yo boys tend to do everything last minute. And it's a very Yo-Yo boy thing to do, to kind of like last minute jump on, oh yeah, I'm coming. And it's like, well, the contest is Saturday and you decide you're going on Thursday. If you've got 2-3 months notice and it's always in your face about it, or somebody reminds you about it every couple weeks, it's more likely that more people are going to plan earlier, and then less people's plans will fall through at that last minute because they only decided to go and started to look into planning it the week beforehand, and then they realized everything was already bought out, everything got expensive, and it just became an insurmountable task to go to the contest. So I feel like getting that advanced notice 2-3 months ahead of time really helps to get everybody, get them kicked into gear, get them to get stuff planned and booked earlier and less expensive, and that just turns out into a bigger turnout. And the less money you have to pay to go to the contest, the more yo-yos you can buy at the contest, the more different yo-yo divisions you can enter to try and win, and stuff like that. And the last thing and the fifth thing is really, I feel like we need to also sort of integrate other skill toys, at least on a very small level, as best as we can. So I'm going to plug ECM again, because I felt like we did a good job with this. Mac, who helped us out, he's one of the managers at SW Randall. He helped us plan this, and he's a big kendama player. He loves playing kendama. And he's pretty close to the Sweets guys. He carries a lot of their stuff, and so when he went to the New York Toy Fair, he was able to talk to Matt Sweets Jorgensen and some of the other guys at Sweets, and got them to help sponsor East Coast Masters. Now they just sent us a box of kendamas, which was fantastic, because a ton of the guys who are yo-yo players as well like to play kendama too. So if you win a yo-yo contest, but there's also a really cool kendama in there as well, that's just a win-win. It's like, oh sweet, I don't have this kendama, and I'm going to play kendama, and that's really fun. So that's just like an extra added fun thing that's in there. In addition to that, CLYW, Steve came from CLYW, Steve Brown, who is a yo-yo hero of mine, as he should be for everybody. Steve Brown is a legend and a master. But Steve Brown came, and he came with a big box of CLYW kendamas that they had done. I guess he had a ton of them in his house, and he sold them real cheap. And he was like, man, I'd rather have the money than have boxes of kendamas sitting in my house. And it was great. Everybody bought them. They sold out, and people were playing kendama, wandering around, in addition to playing yo-yo. And it was really, to me, a surreal experience, because I like to play kendama as well. There's a big line of kendamas here next to me, and I love to play kendama. It's like, it's soothing. I'm not great at it, but it's soothing, it's fun, it's kind of addictive. And if you land a cool new kendama trick, it's very satisfying, and it's just fun. So to me, to integrate stuff like that, it can bring in other people, because when somebody who plays kendama that maybe doesn't necessarily play yo-yo as well sees, oh, Sweets is sponsoring that. Maybe there'll be a Sweets table there. That would be fun. Honestly, if Sweets, I know they're kind of far away, but if Sweets would have been there with a booth, like, tons of people would have bought kendama. Hell, I'd have probably wandered over and bought a kendama from Sweets if they were there, because it wouldn't. But it's, you know, stuff like that, that, like, to be sort of the fish out of water is really cool, because then it's like, oh, hey, here's this other thing that's going on, and they got these kendamas. And I think small integrations of stuff like that, I'm not saying it's got to be a kendama and a yo-yo contest, but to have some kendamas or, you know, whatever available as well, I feel like is a very cool thing, and it's a cool cross thing, because then maybe at a yo-yo or at a kendama event, maybe there can be a CLYW booth or a Yo-Yo Factory booth or something like that. So, you know, and I feel like that cross integration of skill toys can really help merge communities and help grow both communities. But you know, that's just my opinion, and I think it will work out well. But I enjoy Yo-Yo Contest. I really enjoyed East Coast Masters, and I'm really, really looking forward to going to Nationals this year in Chicago. Hopefully going to also make it to Ohio State's if I can. I don't know when it is yet. I don't think it's been announced. But if I can make it out for Ohio State's, I'm going to try to do that as well. But yeah, guys, Yo-Yo Contest. You should try to go. If there's one anywhere near you that you can maybe make it out to, you should really try to go, because they're really a blast. And I think these 5 things really help make them better. And I feel like a lot of contests incorporate at least a few of these things, but I feel like if we can incorporate all 5, it's really like, it really just sets the stage for something that is really a lot of fun. But that's going to do it for me tonight, guys. Hope you guys have a good night. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers to you. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.